Hello, parents, guardians, and families of the class of 2024. Mr. Rovic here, the College and Career Coordinator at the high school, with a hopefully brief message about financial aid, FAFSA, and WAFSA. You may have been hearing about it because it is coming close to that time of year that many and most of you all should be thinking about it, especially your students. But to get that done, most of them will need your help and guidance. On Monday during advisory, they actually will begin this process by getting their FSA ID. You can ask them about that because you might need to do one too. But in this video, I want to talk about two things. First, what is this FAFSA WAFSA? And then secondly, should you and your child be considering filling it out? Before I dive into that, it's in the email, but we are doing an information night on Wednesday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. You can join us here at the high school in the library and have pizza, or you can join us virtually where we'll be broadcasting it via Zoom so you can watch it from the comfort of your home. But that will go over in more detail FAFSA, WAFSA, the timeline and stuff like that, understanding financial aid. So first question briefly, what is the FAFSA, WAFSA? The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. The WASFA is the Washington application for state aid. You and your child only need to fill out one. Most of you all will fill out the FAFSA. If you're not eligible, you would then fill out the WAFSA. If you're unsure, there's a link in the email. Click on it. You answer two questions, and it'll make sure you're filling out the right form. So that's what those forms are. The FAFSA determines your eligibility for federal aid, for state aid, and for institutional aid. That's the aid that various schools give out. So that's the one thing I talk about FAFSA is people think it's just for federal aid. No, it's for federal aid, state aid, and institutional aid. And if you're not maybe eligible for federal aid, that's when you fill out the WAFSA, and the WAFSA will determine state aid and also institutional aid. Institutional aid is the aid the schools give out, and they have a lot of money they also want to give out. So next thing is, why should you and your family be considering filling out one of those forms? My general answer is yes. First, I know many of you will be eligible for some sort of financial aid through those forms, either by knowing your child or just knowing the demographics of our school and district. Many of you will have some eligibility for aid. Also, while most of the aid in the FAFSA is income based, it's not just what many would consider low income or poor. Some of the income thresholds for the state aid are over $100,000 a year in a family household. So I always tell families, why not? It doesn't hurt to take the time to fill it out and submit it. Speaking of time, in my experience, most families are able to complete it in under 30 minutes. They've redone it this year. That's why it's coming out a little later. They're telling us many families will even get it done in 20 minutes. We'll wait and see. But in either case, that's not a lot of time to put your kind of name in the hat to see if you're eligible for the three biggest pots of money, that being federal aid, state aid, and institutional aid. And when I say state aid, we're talking about things like College Bound Scholarship, Washington College Access Grant, state work study, all kinds of money. Plus, 70% of the jobs in this state require some sort of education after high school. And most of that education training is not free, unfortunately. So I'm assuming, like you want to find either ways to lower your costs or have other people pay for it. That's what financial aid does. Filling out the FAFSA and WAFSA are one of the first steps for most of our families in finding out or getting aid to help pay for those costs. It's also, even if you're unsure if you're going to college or you really think you're not eligible, I always consider an easy backup or insurance plan. Like I said, taking 30 minutes to fill this out, it's done. It's good for a year. So if you change your mind and say, yeah, I think I do want to go to Spokane Community College, or I do want to go to Paul Mitchell. Yep, they take financial aid. That form's done. You don't have to do it. You can just tell it to send it to those schools. It also kind of gets you in line because you've already done it. Another instance is life circumstances changes. Maybe you're not eligible today, but if something were to happen, you can still fill out the FAFSA later. Not going to tell you can't, but why not already have it on file? So you're like, yeah, some things have changed. Let's let them know and see what eligible aid we might be for now. So that is why I encourage all families to think about and fill out the FAFSA and or WAFSA. If you have questions, again, you can always come see me. There's also Mr. Morton in Gear Up and Mr. May in Community Schools who would be glad to help you with this process. Again, we hope to see maybe many of you this Wednesday, 7:30 to 8 at the high school on Zoom to learn a little more about what financial aid is, what the FAFSA and WASFA are, and how do you start filling it out. More importantly, start asking your child because, like I said on Monday, they will be learning those steps in advisory. Take care.